David Robson has written about a Canadian Second World War vet and artillery soldier known as Stormin Norman. He didn't just have to fight battles on the front lines, also many battles in his personal life. And Stormin Norman happens to be David's father. David joins us now. Thanks so much for this.
Thank you, Annette.
There were so many stories that your dad told when he came back from the Second World War that you didn't believe.
Absolutely. Like most Canadians, I had very little knowledge as to what the troops actually went through over in Europe, and I really had my second thoughts about whether my dad's stories were legitimate or just that he was a fellow with PTSD that was rambling at night to me almost on a daily basis. So. And
at the Legion a lot and drinking a lot, so you weren't quite sure, and it wasn't. Tell me about the point at which you realized, wow, what he was talking about was absolutely true.
That's correct. So the story that I wrote was based on research that I had done, and it was about 5 years of literally walking the battlefields in Europe, in France and Germany, and going to the museums, sorry, the memorials, even visiting grave sites. And through the process realized that everything he had told me was true. And actually the reality was worse than he could have even described, of the things that he went through, and certainly that many others from his generation went through.
And he had a very tough upbringing himself because his own father, or his stepfather, had PTSD from the First World War. And of course, it wasn't called PTSD then, it was shell shock. That's
correct, yeah. His stepfather had mustard gas poisoning and was scarred for life as a result. So my father ran away from home at 13 years of age. The military, the Canadian military, became his family. And that's why at the end of World War II, after Germany surrendered, Stormin Norman re-enlisted to fight the Japanese in the jungles of Burma. I did a book signing in Colorado, and the American military folks that were there, they were so impressed that he would join them, brothers at arms, after what happened to them in Pearl Harbor, of course. So in hindsight, looking back on the experiences, I didn't understand why we didn't have more information about the battles and the things that these men and women went through. And in researching, I found that our government in 1945, through budget cuts, had decided that rather than hire historians, we would let England tell our story. Well, the Brits told their story. So sadly, none of that generation's war stories were ever taught in schools, and I'm a big proponent now, of course, of trying to educate our youth as to what truly happened. For example, you'd be hard-pressed to have anybody in Canada name 3 battles of World War II. They just can't do it because it was never taught. Right. Effectively.
Which is why it's so important that students read your book as well as adults to find out like just one person's story and know that that's one of hundreds of thousands of stories out there.
Yes, absolutely. It's imperative that we know as a nation where we come from, and we are a nation of warriors. Although we're known as peacekeepers, which we are, there's a tremendous heritage that we as Canadians need to understand.
And need to share. David, we've run out of time, but thank you so much for sharing your personal story, your dad's story. It is out now, Stormin Norman, Born to Battle, and it's in bookstores now, and I really look forward to reading and finding out more about your dad.